I'm walking normally,
Yeah.
and I'm not walking any distances yet. I'm trying to build up.
Yeah.
Not pain-free, but hopefully we're going in the right direction.
Good.
I got out of the boot last week.
Good. Just when Biden got into it.
Yeah, I was going to give him my boot. This is weird. The school regulations say that has a fee. So, this school is actually checking up on all of this. Requesting rates. Unfortunately, campers gonna have to keep on this. First time, new regulation. I don't have to, I'm not a student.
Yeah, they like, yes, because
Just so you
singing is,
And I don't-
singers will be the last ones to be allowed anywhere.
When did you start doing that? Because you were before.
Yeah, no, it's,
You didn't sing with us last time,
no,
right?
I didn't, but the new regulations came 2 days ago.
Which regulations? From
But
who?
in places like that.
AQC.
Oh,
Good. I have to sing with a mask,
good.
Precautions they
and choir bands cannot be
when you
allowed.
have somebody who's
Good.
stores.
I mean, I'm glad they made that.
You have to walk by there.
Well, I think that they have to, because of the insurance stuff, you know, and the rise in New Jersey,
Yeah.
This is so good.
and now they asked us all to give them the links to our streams or Zooms.
Step checking.
Yeah. Which I appreciate. They care.
Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to Congregation Adas Emuno. A special welcome this morning to Ellis Marcus and to her immediate family who are here with us in the synagogue, to any members of her family and friends and members of the congregation who may be joining us via the YouTube live streaming this morning. We welcome you as well. For those who may not know me, although I'm very familiar, I think, as we're celebrating the third B'nai Mitzvah in the Marcus family, I'm Rabbi Barry Schwartz. This is our student cantor, Iris Carlin, our accompanist, Beth Robin, and we're also grateful to Michael Fishbein, the president of the congregation, and Lauren Rowland, member of the Board of Trustees, who are assisting in the live stream this morning. So even though we're primarily empty sanctuary, we encourage you to join along from afar and help bring the Sabbath spirit to our celebration this morning. Our Shabbat morning service will begin from the prayer book that we have here in our seats, Mishkan Tefillah, with the traditional words of welcome to the synagogue, the Ma Tovu on page 74. An opening reading on page 66. Each of us enters this sanctuary with a different need. Some hearts are full of peace and gratitude, overflowing with love and joy. They are eager to confront the day, to make the world a better place. They are recovering from illness or have escaped misfortune. We rejoice with them. Some hearts ache with sorrow. Disappointments weigh heavily on them. Families have been broken, loved ones lie on a bed of pain. Death has taken a cherished loved one. May our presence and caring bring them comfort. Some hearts are embittered. Ideals are betrayed and mocked, answers sought in vain. Life has lost its meaning and value. May the knowledge that we too are searching restore our hope and renew our faith. We continue with the song of praise from the 150th Psalm, the Hallelujah Psalm, page 100.
Hallelujah.
sanctuary warming up already. We continue with our ancient call to worship, the Baruch Hu, page 108. Please rise. Please be seated. On page 110, praise for the world of nature around us. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvorei choshech, osei shalom uvorei et hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, yotzer hameorot. Praised are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of light and darkness, who makes peace and fashions all things. Praised are you, Adonai, creator of all heavenly lights. In the middle of page 112, V'har'enenu b'toratecha v'dabek libenu b'mitzvotecha. Enlighten our eyes with your Torah, focus our minds on your mitzvot. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher ba'amo Yisrael be'ahava. Praise be you, Adonai, who chooses your people, Israel, in love. We join together in the affirmation of our faith, the Shema, page 114.
Shema
Yisrael, Adonai, Eloheinu, Adonai, Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
ואהבת
את אדוני אלוהיך
בכל לבבך ובכל
כל
נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך
בביתך ובלכתך בדרך
ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאורות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך
ובשעריך
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
When our ancestors crossed from slavery to freedom during the Exodus, they sang the ancient words that we sing yet today in celebration, the Micha Mocha on page 122. We sing the Micha Mocha like they did because we too celebrate our freedom. The Tefillah prayer, also called the Amidah prayer, follows on page 124. We link our faith to the faith of our ancestors. Please rise.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov. Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומר חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה, רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מחמך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אתה בשמנו, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקראת אל זה ואמר, קדוש קדוש קדוש, אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו ומלכנו, ומושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהיו לציון, לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גדלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. On page 135, we offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessings, O God. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. On page 136 is the beautiful Sabbath prayer, Ritzeh. Find favor, Adonai, our God, with your people Israel, and accept their prayer in love. There's a beautiful prayer for peace, which is also a prayer for our country, from the original Reformed prayer book that's been retained in our Siddur, that is on page 141. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of our world. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael bashalom. end of the Amidah, it is customary to pause for a few moments of our own silent prayer. We think on this Shabbat about how we can enhance the sense of shalom within ourselves and our families, because we know if there's no shalom on the inside, there's no shalom on the outside. Our tradition has a word for shalom in our souls called shalom nefesh. It has another expression for shalom in our families called shalom bayit. And we also speak of the peace of the general community in the world, shalom olam. And so we think about how we can foster a greater sense of shalom, because we know that without it, we cannot be whole within ourselves, our families, or our communities. We pause. We are ready now for Seder Kriyat Sefer Torah. We are ready for the reading of the Torah. When we take the Torah from the ark, we'll be symbolically passing it midor ledor, from generation to generation, thinking about grandparents and parents and bat mitzvah at this time, because this is how we express symbolically the bequeathing of our heritage from one generation to the next. Even though this morning we won't have the typical number of people, many people who participate in the Torah service, we will be reading the Aliyot and calling Ellis and her family up for the blessings of the Torah this morning. For the reading of the Torah, page 244, please rise.
Ein kamocha ba'Elohim Adonai, ve'ein kema'asecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha mechol dor vador. Adonai melech, Adonai melech, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. שונאך ארץ ציון, תבני חומות ירושלים, תבנה חומות ירושלים, כי בך לבד בטחנו, מלך אברהם ונישא אדון עולמים.
כי מציון תצא תורה, כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני בירושלים. Page 248. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah.
לעמו ישראל בקדושתו.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu,
Adonai echad, echad Eloheinu, gadol Adonenu, kadosh shemo, gadu le'Adonai iti, unerom bema shemo
Yatav. Please be seated. This morning we're reading in the book of Genesis, the story of two brothers, twin brothers, Jacob and Esau. We'll be hearing more about them, but this week comes the big reconciliation scene. Jacob, as a young man, is forced to flee from his home because he thinks that his life is in danger from his own brother because of the deceptions and the struggles between them. Now he's all grown up. He went back to his mother's ancestral home. He has married. He has many children. And with this family of his own, the tug of home and the tug of family comes back after 2 decades. And he knows that he has to leave with his family and journey back to the land of Canaan, which also means journeying back to his brother Esau. There's a dramatic scene where he puts his flocks, his family behind him. In the middle of the night, he has this wrestling with his conscience. He doesn't know whether his brother will greet him in peace or with violence. He knows his brother is coming to meet him with many men, armed men, but he goes through with it. And the next morning, there's a touching scene of reconciliation where these two brothers let the past be in the past and know that for the sake of family, they need to reconcile. And so the long journey of Jacob is not over. He will live many long years, and he will see his own sons replicate the sibling rivalry that characterized his life as well. That story begins next week, the famous story of Joseph and his brothers. But for now, he has this measure of shalom, this measure of peace with Esau and between the two families. During this wrestling, Jacob receives a new name, a second name. The name is Yisrael, Israel. That becomes one of our names for the Jewish people as well. It means to wrestle with angels, to wrestle with God, to wrestle with ourselves, the one who struggles, the one who wrestles. We're not guaranteed that our life will be easy. We're not guaranteed that life will be without conflict. But in the wrestling and the attempt to reconcile, we reach our true calling as Yisrael and our true purpose in our lives. I'm happy to call forward Ellis now for the reading of the Torah. Ya'amod harishon Yardena ve'asher. We call forward the first aliyah to the Torah, Jordana and Asher. Baruch Adonai Hamborak Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Vaishlach Yaakov Malachim Lefanav El Esav Ahiv Artsa Seir Sede Edom Vayetzav Otam Lemor Ko Tomrun Ladoni Leesav Ko Amor Avdeha Yaakov Im Lavan Garti Va'ehar ad ata, va'ehili shor v'hamor, son ve'eved ve'shivha, va'eshleha lehagid ladoni, limsohen be'eineha.
Put it right there. Second lesson.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Congratulate them. I'll give them a hug. They're in the same bubble. Ya'amod Hasheni. We call forward the second aliyah to the Torah, Spencer and Angie.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamborak Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Natain HaTorah.
Amen.
Vayashuvu hamalahim el Yaakov lemor banu el Ahiha el Esav vegam olech likrata ve'arba me'otish imo vayra Yaakov me'od vayetzer lo Vayahatz et ha'am asher ito ve'et hatzon ve'et habakar ve'hagemalim lishnei mahanot vayomer im yavo Esav el hamahaneh ahahat ve'hikahu V'haya hamahane hanishar lifleta.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chai ya olam nata botash
Bitochim.
botochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen. Congratulations. Ya'amod hashlishi Aliyah. We call forward the third Aliyah to the Torah, Ellis.
Baruch et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Leolam Ba'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Vayomer Yaakov Elohe Avi Avraham Velohe Avi Yitzhak Adonai Haomer Elai Shuv La'artzeha Ulmoladeteha Ve'etiva imach Katonti Mikol HaHasadim Umikol HaEmet Asher Asita Et Avdeha Ki B'magli Avarti Et HaYarden Hazeh Ve'ata Hayiti Lishnei Mahanot Hatzileni Na Miyad Ahi Miyad Esav Ki Yarech Anohi Oto Pen Yavo Vehichani Aim Albanim Ve'ata Amarta Hetev Etiv Imach Ve'samti Et Zaraha Keho Hayam Asher Lo Yisafer Me'erov. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'hayei olam nata betohenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen. That's a great job. You can sit right over there for now. While the Torah is still before us, we traditionally offer at this time the healing prayer, the Mishaberak prayer. We ask you to call to mind all those of your loved ones in need of healing, be this a healing of body or a healing of soul, Of course, we also think of all those around our country and around the world in need of healing at this time.
May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us sing Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of the body, the renewal of the spirit, and let us say Amen.
As we hold the Torah high and as we wrap the Torah, please rise.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל ביד משה על שלושה נביאים, על שלושה
Please be seated. Each Torah portion has a supplemental reading in the second part of the Hebrew Bible called the Haftarah, taken from the prophets. And this morning, the Haftarah portion is from the prophet Hosea. Hosea is actually very fixated on the Jacob story. And he mentions Jacob, or the other name Israel, quite a bit. And so there's a natural connection between these stories. And when Hosea is honest, he mistreated his brother, and he caused bad consequences for the family. And Hosea says, well, we can be like that, Jacob. He said, but the good part of the story, the part that we read this morning, is that he recognized his mistakes, he overcame them, and he reconciled with his brother, and he won that new name called Israel. So Hosea says, well, we can be like that Jacob as well. All the prophets basically had a variation on the same message. Our actions have consequences. We always have this choice between going in the good direction or the wrong direction, and if we recognize that our actions have consequences and follow what we know is right, then we'll be strong. Otherwise, we'll be weak. And so Ellis will be reading a portion of the Haftarah from Hosea with the opening and closing Haftarah blessings.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratzah v'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet Baruch atah Adonai Haboher Batorah Uv Moshe Avdo Uv Yisrael Amo Uvinvi'ei Ha'emet V'tzedek Ve'ami Teluim Lim Shuvati Ve'el Al Yikra'uhu Yahad Lo Yeromeim Etenha Ephraim Amagenha Yisrael Etenha He'adma Asimha Kitzvoim Nepa Alai Libi Yahad Nichmeru Nihumai Lo E'eseh Haron Api Lo Ashuv Leshahet Ephraim Ki El Anohi Velo Ish Bekir Beha Kadosh Velo Avo Be'ir Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Tzur kol haolamim Sadik beho hadorot Ha'el hane'eman ha'omer ve'oseh Hamdaber u'mkayem Shekol devarav emet v'tzedek Al ha-Torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al ha'nevi'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'linuha lehavod ultifaret Al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umvarhim otah yitzbarach shimha befi kohai tami le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat
Amen. I'm not sure if everyone was able to necessarily hear that well, but let me tell you, we just heard the Torah and the Haftarah chanted beautifully by Ellis, and so we're now ready to return the Torah to the Ark. We return in the prayer book to page 256, and we ask you to please rise.
יהללו את שם אדוני, כי נשגב שמו לבדו. הודו על ארץ ושמיים.
Please be seated. We ask that every bar and bat mitzvah student not only prepare the chanting of the Torah and the Haftarah, which is many months of work, but also to study with us and to wrestle with the meaning, the lessons of the Torah portion, and then to write a Dvar Torah, literally a word, a commentary to the Torah. So now I'd like to ask Ellis, in the strongest voice she can summon, and nice and slowly, of course, to share her thoughts, her Dvar Torah with us. Nice and slow, nice and loud. Okay.
My Torah portion is a story that talks about twin brothers. The story starts with Jacob stealing Esau's birthright. During the next 20 years, Jacob runs away and eventually marries Leah and Rachel. He has 12 sons and 1 daughter. On the way back to meet his brother in the middle of the night by a river, he started wrestling an angel from God who gave him a new name, Israel. He thought when he met his brother again, he would still be mad or different. But one day, Jacob decides to return home to his brother. Esau had a group of people behind him in case his brother was still mad. But when they met, they hugged and forgave each other. That was the story of Jacob and Esau with a happy ending. There are several important lessons in my Torah portion. The first lesson is, sometimes brothers and sisters don't get along. Jacob and Esau were very different people and disagreed about many things. This caused the brothers to get angry and lose control of themselves. The second lesson is that there are always good or bad endings. In the story, there was a good ending because Jacob and Esau forgave each other. The brothers who had not seen each other for 20 years can once again be brothers. The third lesson is that there are consequences to our actions. When Jacob stole Esau's birthright, he had to run away and stay away for 20 years. He would miss seeing his family for all that time. The last lesson is, sometimes you need to be brave and take a risk. Jacob decided to go back home without knowing if his brother was different and had forgiven him. He knew he might still be in danger, but he knew it was the right thing to do. All of these lessons in my Torah portion I can relate to in my life. The first lesson is, sometimes brothers and sisters don't get along. This relates to my own life because my siblings and I sometimes don't get along. One example is when we don't close each other's doors when we walk out of the room, and then we argue. Although we argue, they usually don't last long. The second lesson, there are always good or bad endings. One example of this in my life is that last year in school, it didn't actually end properly because of COVID. For me, it was a bad and sad ending. I hope this school year can end on a good note. The third lesson, there are consequences to our actions. One time, I broke a glass by accident without telling my parents, so I had to clean it up. Once I cleaned it up, a small piece of glass got stuck in my foot. This was a consequence that wasn't on purpose and intentional. The last lesson is, sometimes you need to be brave and take a risk. I can even relate to this. Once I was scared to swim with dolphins while on vacation in Jamaica, but I did it anyways, and in the end, it was so much fun. I was brave and took the plunge just like now. A word about my Mitzvah project. I'll be grocery shopping for people who can't step out of their homes right now. Because of COVID, a lot of older people can't go out and shop for themselves because they are taking precautions. I'll be in contact with them so they can tell me what they want, then I'll place the food on their front doorstep. And now for some thank yous. First of all, I would like to thank my mom, dad, sister, and brother. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for showing endless love, support, and care to me. Thank you to Dan and Asher for helping me with anything and giving me advice on anything. I would like to thank my grandparents too. First, on my mom's side, thank you for loving me no matter what. On my dad's side, I would first like to thank my grandma. She has been a great cook and has been an awesome support in my life. I also would like to thank my grandpa. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't be here right now as he introduced my family to Adas Emuno. I am so glad he made this happen. My friends also made a big impact on my life too. Thank you guys for being there for me through thick and thin. Lastly, I would like to thank Rabbi Schwartz, Cantor Epstein, Cantor Iris, and all my teachers in religious school. Thank you for helping me with everything and being patient with me. I feel blessed to have so much love in my life. During my time in religious school, I learned about so many things. First, I learned how to read Hebrew and to sing many prayers. Second, I learned about the Jewish holidays. There are many holidays, but my favorite holiday is Hanukkah because we light the candles and give and receive gifts. I've also learned about Jewish history and Israel. Finally, I've learned about Jewish values and being a good person. I would like to share some ways I can stay connected to Judaism and to the Jewish community as a bat mitzvah. One way is by celebrating the Jewish holidays. Some holidays I celebrate are Hanukkah, Yom Kippur, and Passover. Another way I'll be staying connected is by visiting Israel one day. The rabbi told me when I turn 18 I can get a free 10-day trip to Israel. Lastly, another way I can stay connected in the future is by attending services at the synagogue with my family. Services always are really fun to go to, and I hope they can resume in person soon. In these ways, I stay connected to God and to the community. Shabbat Shalom.
You can breathe now. Stay right here, Ellis. Ellis, we are very proud of your accomplishment, and those of us who were up close here did hear almost every word of your very personal and sensitive message. And so now we have several presentations to make to you that express our pride in what you have accomplished this morning. Typically, we'd have a member of the Board of Trustees offering this first presentation. I'm going to do this, but I have to tell you that when one of our trustees found out that it was your bat mitzvah, she was so sorry that she couldn't be standing here, but she said, "Rabbi, could I just send a little message?" Because she's taught all three of the Marcus children. That's Doris White. And on behalf of Doris, I'd like to share this. Dear Ellis, I know you can't see me, but I am watching your bat mitzvah live stream with great joy. Hi, Doris, if you're watching. You are now a lovely young lady, but I have such vivid memories of a lovely child, sometimes a little shy, who was a star in every class we share. Mazel tov to you, Jordan and Asher, and of course your parents. 3 b'nai mitzvah from Adas Emuno is quite an achievement. I wish you every blessing and send virtual hugs. With love, Doris. Thank you, Doris. And on behalf of Doris and the Board of Trustees, this is the same gift that your brother and sister received. It's a Kiddush cup with your name on it. You see? Right there. And we hope that you will, as you mentioned, celebrate the holidays, use this Kiddush cup in years to come. Ellis, I'd now like to call upon your parents to offer their special words.
Ellis, my baby, I cannot believe we are here. I cannot believe my baby is 13 years old and we are all here at your bat mitzvah. You did it. All your studying has paid off. You bring so much joy and happiness every day to our lives. Ellis, you are so funny, outgoing when you are in your comfort zone, which is in private with your family. I love how kind, loving, and empathetic you are with Asher, Jordana, your pets, and your friends. I hope you cherish your blessings as gifts, Look at the Torah for inspiration and guidance as you face daily life challenges. My prayer to you and hope for you today is that you have a happy life filled with peace, health, purpose, surrounded by friends, family, always. Continue to be a good and kind person that you are. Ellis, we are so proud of you. Mommy loves you from the moon and back. Always remember, sweet dreams, and don't let the bedbugs bite.
Well, your brother and sister asked me not to get emotional, since I was emotional for theirs. I guess I'll be emotional for this one too. So Elbel, I can't believe this day is actually here. You've done an amazing job in light of this crazy COVID situation. You were diligent and focused with your weekly practice sessions. You did them in private in your room. I wasn't sure how well you'd be able to learn everything by computer and Zoom, but you've done it, and you've done it perfectly. I want to also thank your teachers as well, and the school for helping you. It's quite amazing that you're able to do all of this in light of everything that's happened. I'm glad we could still have this special day for you after everything. Even though the synagogue is empty, we know we have some friends and family that are here with us. All the years of Hebrew school, all the teachers, all the learning, and all the fun has paid off. You've amazed me, and I'm happy and proud of you. There really isn't anything you can't do that you set your mind to, whether it's building your own dresser or night tables or putting together a Lego DB8 in the middle of the night and coming downstairs with it all finished, or saving money to buy a pair of sneakers. I'm never quite sure where the money comes from, but you managed to get it. I don't know how that happens. You're truly a determined person who will work to get what she wants. I love this about you. You've grown up to this point and have become a uniquely caring, determined young lady. There were signs from birth that you were going to get what you wanted, the way you wanted. From your mohawk hair when you introduced yourself to us with your loud, comfortable cry, to the binkies you'd find in your crib at night, to your insatiable curiosity about almost everything, and your ability to figure stuff out on your own has made you an awesome person. I'm proud to be your father. I'm proud of who you are. I'm proud of your love for your family, for your friends, for your animals, and everything that's good. You're the exact person who this world needs, and you'll make this world a better place for us all. Keep being yourself forever. Take the teachings from Adas Emuno, Rabbi Schwartz, and your teachers here, and go into the world a strong, confident, proud Jew, knowing you can handle anything. You're never alone. We, your family, including Kalea, are always with you. I'm excited to see what and who you'll become. So as Mommy kind of ran to my little parade, something that we say every night before bed, regardless of where we are. You might not be home, you might be with your cousins, I might be traveling. I'll get a text, we'll say it to each other every night. I love you, sweet dreams. That's what it's turned into. Proud of you.
Just one more little speech, right? Ellis, when we began our first session, I asked you a question that I ask all the B'nai Mitzvah. I said, what words would you use to describe yourself? What special words make Ellis Ellis? And I don't know if you remember this, but you chose two words. Do you remember? No. You said shy and kind. Those are the two words that you said. And you do know yourself. I remember when you were very little and you came to school, your teachers, just as Doris said you made the impression, but it was hard for you to speak up in class. But I think I would add a third word after hearing your dad speak, and that is determined. Because you have persevered. Look at your accomplishment today through especially challenging circumstances. And we heard about other ways as well. Well, let me tell you something. Being kind is a loud statement. You may be a shy person, but kindness speaks strongly, forcefully. And sometimes it's easier to be mean or uncaring or shut yourself off. But to be kind takes strength. And when combined with determination, it will make a difference. You know, Jacob had to discover that there was a place for him to change and to become kind. He was not kind early on. But he recognized that reconciliation with his brother, with his family, would go further than what had taken him in the past. So build on those gifts. Now you're a bat mitzvah. But whether you grow bolder or not, with your kindness and with your determination, just like Jacob in the Torah portion, you will become a blessing to others. Jacob wrestles and then says to that angel, or is it his conscience, bless me. And the blessing he receives is that new name at that particular time. And the rest of his life, he's trying to live up to that name of Israel. And so our prayer for you is that you will summon your strengths, your kindness, your determination to be a blessing to others, just like Jacob. And now, speaking of blessings, a very special moment in the service is the blessing we bestow upon you now in front of the ark. It's called Birkat Shalom, the blessing of peace. And this is the most ancient blessing, word for word, from the Torah of our people. Moses' brother Aaron first spoke these words in blessing over the people of Israel, and we use these words to today at every auspicious occasion, from birth and consecration to bar and bat mitzvah. We speak these words of blessing at weddings and at the end of our holiday services as well. So I ask you to step with me. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmarecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God show you kindness and grant you peace. Amen. Stay right here. And now for the concluding segment of our service, for the Aleinu, we turn back to our prayer book to page 282 at the bottom. And as we open the ark for a final time, please rise.
282. You know that one. לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגבהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו, אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגבהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו, אין עוד. אמת מלכנו, את חסולתו, ככתוב בתורתו. וידעת היום להשיבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, והארץ מתחת, אין עוד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
On this Shabbat, we now call to mind in love and reverence those no longer with us, for all those close to our hearts, and for all those for whom there may be no one to say Kaddish. We join in the Kaddish prayer on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'hayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'zman kariv ve'imru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach leolam olamei almaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudisha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Please be seated. Our Shabbat morning service is going to conclude now with the singing of Adon Olam, followed by the closing benediction. Adon Olam, page 321.
Adon Olam
time of joy, and every time of joy we give thanks to God, our source of joy, by singing the Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai